Hello everyone, welcome to the next episode on SAP UI5 and Fiori training. By far in our course, we have completed the first phase of our course, which is basic foundation for SAP UI5, which includes HTML5, CSS, JavaScript, and jQuery. We were started with architecture of MVC. We discussed what is MVC architecture, and then we had gone ahead and saw SAP Web IDE tool to create our first UI5 application using MVC architecture. We also talked about the SAP UI5 SDK by far. What is SAP UI5 SDK? Which is a central point for all the documentation of UI5, including control documentation. Then we discussed about how can we use SAP UI5 SDK to know how to develop a good Fiori application. Next to that, we had also discussed about creating controllers using scaffolding template. So this is what was the journey by far in the class. Quick information for those who are joining today for the first time. You have missed about 16 to 17 classes. Please watch those classes by videos and then come back fresh. You will get more better feeling in the current class. In our last class, we talked about a scaffolding template and how to create a controller from the basics. All of this we have done without any copy paste of code. So we will not do any copy paste of code in our training. We will write every single line of code ourselves so that we get a better hands-on, better grasp on the code. In case of any issues in our production system, we will be able to fix it up once we have a good hands-on on our project. So let us move on and see what next for today. So from today's session, we'll start with XML views. By far you saw in MVC architecture creating a view, a controller, but the view type was JavaScript. Now it's time for us to move on and talk about XML views. But before we move on to XML views, let's try to understand what is XML. Let's discuss what is XML then. Very first important thing. What is XML? Why the XML was really generated? The first thing is XML stands for Extensible Markup Language. What was the reason XML was originated in this world? Everything in this world has a purpose. What is the purpose of XML? If you observe the software industry, it has evolved with the help of these big companies like Microsoft, Oracle, Amazon, Google, SAP, and all these big companies, they have their own technologies. Just for an instance, the Microsoft technology is .NET. And SAP technology is ABAP. Every technology offers something of its own, something of its unique features and its best features. So people started leveraging each of these technologies and its best of class features. But at the end of the day, they wanted to ultimately do integration between them as well. You might have heard about SAP Portal, which is a Java-based application integrating with SAP NetWeaver, which is an ABAP-based application. You might have heard about integrating a .NET-based Silverlight application with SAP backend system. Now, when it comes to heterogeneous technologies, what is heterogeneous? Different. These are heterogeneous technologies. When it comes to integrating these technologies, how can they talk to each other? What do you think? Does .NET understand internal table? In ABAP, we have internal table. What do you think? Does .NET understand internal table? No. What do you think? Does ABAP understand collections, which we use in .NET? You don't need to learn .NET here. .NET has also a data type called collections. Do you think ABAP understand collections? No. They both have their own data types. They don't understand each other. So what do we do to communicate between them? Anybody? We need a common language. You met a Chinese guy, you are a Hindi guy, Chinese, Hindi, bye bye. You can't talk to each other. You need a common language between both of you to talk. And that's what exactly you do using English. As in English, you're going to talk to each other nicely. That's exactly programming languages are doing. Programming languages uses XML. The origination of XML, the main reason was to be able to communicate between heterogeneous technologies. Every programming language offers XML related interfaces and classes. The main motto of XML was to allow communication or open up or to establish a common language for communication. This was the main motto, main reason of XML. If you have heard about SOA, Service Oriented Architecture, ESOP services, they're all based on XMLs. The communication channel is XML, guys. So the guideline here says if you are coming up with any programming language, every programming language must fulfill the need of covering data type to XML and XML to data type vice versa. What does this mean? So if you want to send data from .NET to ABAP, you will use a .NET collection, which is a data type in .NET. Convert this .NET collection to an XML and transmit. ABAP receive the XML and then ABAP does a reverse conversion of this XML to its internal table. Is that clear, everybody? So .NET say you created an XML, XML transmits, received by ABAP, ABAP converts it back to the internal table, and then vice versa. Same process continues between both these technologies. Transmitting data become simple because they both understand XML as a common language. Now every programming need to have a method to convert their data type to XML and vice versa, XML to their data type. That is what is needed in every programming. So this is called a special methodology. So whenever you convert a data type or a data object in your program to an XML, this process is known as rendering. What it is known as? Rendering. Converting your own data type to an XML is called rendering, and the reverse process, converting an XML to the data type to the data object, let's say XML to an internal table, is known as parsing. Is that clear, everybody? What is rendering and what is parsing? Hope you guys are clear with the basics. What is rendering and what is parsing? These are very often words used in software industry. Parse kar do XML ko. XML ko parse kar do. What does it mean? Take that XML, read through it, extract out all the data and move it in your data object, be it a work area or be it an internal table. ABAP programming, just for information I'm telling, just for information, you don't need to know that. Just for information, ABAP programming with OOPS has an interface called if underscore IXML. This is a main interface for performing the rendering and parsing operations in ABAP. This, if you want to learn this topic, I'm covering this topic in my object-oriented ABAP training. Okay. So if you want to learn, just for your information, it's covered in my OOPS ABAP training, not in the current course. Our current course objective is UI5 and Fiori, not the OOPS ABAP programming. Those who are interested, you can subscribe to that. Otherwise, you can ignore it also completely. For information, I told. Now, how does an XML look like? Again, it looks like a tree data structure, guys. Just the way we saw HTML is a tree data structure. XML is also a tree data structure. It looks like a tree data structure. It looks like something this data. Inside this, you enter the data. And then we have probably, let's say, I have a record. This record, end of record. And then I have maybe inside here, let's say name, skill. I have my custom tags unlike HTML. In HTML, which we learned in the past, we saw there were each tags are going to receive. But here in XML, we have custom tags. So let's say Anubhav skill is UI5. Yeah. Like this, you can have multiple records repeating itself. That's how an XML looks like. Hope it is clear to all of you. How an XML looks like. Very easy to create it. This is called a well-formed XML. I can say above. Now you can see it's a well-formed XML. Every tag has an ending tag properly. So you see data tag is starting here, it's ending here. It's a tree data structure. Data tag is the super node. The data tag has two child nodes. Then each node is a record node, and record node further has child nodes. And you see it's a called well-formed XML. यहाँ पे भी name है, यहाँ पे भी name है. It's repeating itself actually. Yeah, these records are repeating exactly. This is called a well-formed XML. Now, what could be an example of non-well-formed XML? If I just, instead of skill, I get some other attribute, let's say, that becomes a non-well-formed. यहाँ पे, it's not consistent. If you look at it, is not consistent. The record is not consistent. So you should always try to target creating a well-formed XML. Parsing becomes easier. Imagine if there is no structure in XML, no consistency, you can't parse it easily. Okay, that's why it's called well-formed XML. Hope you guys are clear with the basics of XML. Now, अब मैं पढ़ाता हूँ XML view. पहले XML समझना जरूरी था. This is why we learned about basics of XML. Let's come back to XML views. So by far in our course, we have talked about JavaScript views. We created basic JavaScript views. We created basic controller. Why XML view? The first question comes in interview. This is an interview question, guys. 100% interview question. Why we use XML views as compared to JavaScript views? Many people have this question since many years, many days. Nobody is clarifying you clearly about it. Why we use XML views as compared to JavaScript view? What is the advantage? The main advantage are following. First advantage of using XML view, the process of converting XML view to corresponding HTML CSS code is faster as compared to JavaScript. That's the beauty, guys. XML view. Now, guys, if you remember, let me take you to previous class where we talked about the renderer. If you remember, what is that UI5 framework is doing for you? UI5 framework is converting your code to equivalent HTML and CSS. Remember this slide which we prepared? We talked about the renderer feature of UI5, right? So what is UI5 doing exactly? This is what UI5 is doing for you. So this again, it's actually doing a parsing. It's reading the XML view or JavaScript view and converting that to equivalent HTML CSS. That's what UI5 framework is doing. So now that's exactly what am I talking here. Converting an XML view to equivalent HTML and CSS code is faster. That's why we prefer to use XML views. Second, it is industry standard. If you ever go to real mobile development, be it an Android development or be it a development using Angular JS or be it a development using probably iPhone SDK, you would observe that XML views are used there. It's an industry standard, and our intention is always to keep ourselves up to date with industry and follow the best practices what are followed in industries. That's the second reason. Third major reason for the XML view also, avoid violating MVC. Guys, have a look at our example one more time. So just come back, have a look at our example which we created the other day. There is a strong chance in JavaScript view, there is a strong chance that somebody would end up writing code here for the button. Right, guys? Do you all agree? Somebody would end up writing the button code here. Where are we right now? Which artifact are we into? Anybody? Which file am I into currently? Anyone? Can you tell me which file am I into right now? I am inside the view boss. And I am writing what? What is this logic? It's a processing logic. हो गया ना MVC violate? What is MVC saying? MVC is saying view should only be used for presentation logic. Only should have UI controls. Now, if somebody using JavaScript view, they end up knowingly, unknowingly, end up writing the processing logic inside the view. This is a violation of MVC principle, which we learned. Do you like to do violation of MVC? Knowingly, unknowingly. I am not saying you will knowingly do it, but knowingly, unknowingly, you may do that, which is a violation of MVC. Nothing will happen. Output will come still, but it's a violation of MVC. That's the reason to avoid such violations, to avoid violating MVC principles, we always use XML views. XML view में आपको code नहीं लिख सकते. You can't write the processing logic in XML view. You can't write JavaScript processing logic in XML view. Not allowed. You can't write it. So there is no choice left for you instead of putting the name of the method, which is then implemented in controller. In context of UI5, the fourth benefit, if you remember, we have separately passed the controller object to event handler. In case of JavaScript view, now with XML views, it's automatic. You don't have to pass controller object. You see this line, here in this line, you see we have passed the controller object separately to the event handler. This is not required with XML views. You don't need to do that. It's automatic. Okay. Is that clear, everybody? The benefits of using XML views in depth as compared to JS view. Next time कोई पूछे तो बता देना interview में. Very easy. How does it look like now? Okay. How does it look like? Now, in XML view, how the definition, the syntax is, it starts with core view. Now, what is this core? You may ask, Anubhav, what is this core? This core is nothing but called namespace. I'm going to discuss about it in a minute. So, core view. Now, just to show you, this actually representing a namespace and representing a class name, SAP UI core. Okay. It will represent the class name called SAP UI core. Once again, go back to UI5 SDK. And in SAP UI5 SDK, you can find that class called SAP UI Core View class. Okay. Whenever you're going to UI5 SDK, you can actually find an API reference sap.ui.core.view class. You can find that here. Okay, it's not showing here. Let me just Google it up. SAP UI Core View class. You can see here SAP UI Core MVC View class, SAP UI Core View class. It's running some code, I don't know. So this is a class which is available in SAP UI core library. That's what I'm putting core here. Now you'll say, Anubhav, but you did not specify SAP UI core. That's what we're going to do next. We will say whenever we are using in this view core, it means XML namespace core is equals to SAP UI core. That's what I mean. Whenever you see I am starting something with core, it means it's an XML namespace which is representing SAP UI core. You can change this. You can keep it here Mario. And you have to then start your view with Mario. Is that clear, everybody? You're actually defining XML namespace which says Mario, and the Mario, whenever it's Mario used, this Mario is actually representing UI core library in XML views. Okay. Now you can have always one default namespace. XML namespace equals to something, and that will be default. If you don't give a namespace before this, if you don't give a namespace, system will automatically look into this library, the library which you give. So I want to make default as SAP mobile library, SAP M library, which we are using. Please make SAP M as my default namespace. That's the syntax for creating an XML view, guys. End of this view, make sure that you put core and put end of the view. That's it, guys. Congratulations. You have successfully created your first XML view. Wow. Perfect. Now, the next important fox for the class is always have your default namespace as SAP M, because majority of your controls will be coming from mobile library. Second, always make always have a page object added to an XML view. This is a recommended practice by SAP. Okay, you should always and always have page object with XML view. When we ending the tag, okay, also use the XML namespace. Okay, you see here, I started a, sorry, it will be Mario here. I started a view with Mario colon view. Mario here representing UI core library. So when I'm ending, I have to also use this Mario here. Very important. Okay. That is what we should do. Perfect answer, Geeta and Matt. Both of you are correct. You gauged it correct. So this is what we're doing. Now, let us go ahead and see in the system in action our first XML view. I come back, I'm going to create it manually, guys. Now, before you do, let's also look at the page object. So the page object which I was telling you about, it's part of SAP M library. You can see the page object. So now I can come here and I'll show you the page object. This is a page object. You can always look at its aggregation. It has a content aggregation, which is default aggregation, which can take multiple 0 to n. Multiple 0 to n means multiple objects of what type? What type of object? What is this class? Anybody? In the last class, I taught you about this class. What is this class? Anyone? Can anybody tell me what is this class? Anybody? I am not proceeding further until you tell me what is this class. Perfect answer, Madhukran. It's the super class of all the UI controls. Perfect answer. What an answer, Madhukran. Perfect answer, Madhukran. You are watching my videos regularly. You are practicing every day. Thank you so much. This is the class where we discussed SAP UI core control is the super class of all the UI control classes. And now what's happening here? This class is getting aggregated with my page object. So my page object has a content aggregation. It is 0 to n, which means multiple controls can come and sit inside, and it is aggregating with this control class, which means in the content aggregation of my page object, I can add a button also because this is super class. And you all know as a golden rule, thumb rule in object oriented, a super class can contain child class objects, right? A superclass can contain child class object. It's very easy then. So I can integrate, I can pass in the control object in the content aggregation, and I can take this and assign it to the control class, and that control class object I can pass in the content aggregation of my pages object. Clear everyone how the overall control hierarchy is helping you to build your user interface. So page object can contain multiple objects of superclass, and you all know I can pass a child class object to superclass easily. That's basic oops. Yeah. So let us go ahead and now see what else can we do. So now this is what we're going to do. We will create our first XML view now. So let's go back. And now you can see here 0 to n aggregation with content, and it is integrating with superclass. Now let's come back to the web IDE, and I'm going to create a new XML view. So right click here and I say new. You can choose the view, but I'm creating it manually to show you without a copy paste. Never learn from trainers who are teaching you copy paste. Those trainers are cheating you guys. Never learn from those who are teaching you copy paste of code. अगर copy paste से सीखना है खुद से सीख लो. Don't waste your time and money behind trainers who teach you copy paste. They are cheating you actually. They are not teaching you. They are cheaters. They won't teach you. They will just bring some example, copy paste and run away. You won't understand anything. But when it comes to productive code, you will face real issues. How will you fix them up if you don't have a good hands-on on the code? So always write the code, never copy paste. So let's write my XML view. So I can say any name you can give. I can say my new view dot view dot XML. Remember it's dot view dot XML. It's an XML view. Click on OK. You see a view has been created. Let's write code view and XML namespace colon core equals to SAP UI core library, and then another XML namespace I'm representing SAP.m library. Perfect. Let's create the page object. Now guys, what do you think system will look into which library to find this page object? Which library system will check to find this page object? Which library system will look to find this page object? Why? Why Surya? Why did you answer SAPM? Why it will look in SAPM library to find the page object? Why Surya? What do you think? Why? Because it's a default namespace. Perfect answer. All of you are understood this concept. Because it is a default namespace, by default, it will go and check in SAPM library. That's a default namespace. Okay. That's a default namespace. That's why it will go and check in the, you guys have understood the XML view today. You understood it now. There is nothing I have to tell you now in XML view. You guys have understood. You became an expert. अगर ये समझ में आ गया, you became an expert in XML view now. So page object, let's go and check in the page object. So you can see page object here. You can find its properties. You can see there's a property called title, which brings a title. Let's give the title property then. So I can come back and give the title property inside. And I say www.onlinetheorytrainings.com. Great guys, that's the basic of my XML view now. Let's run this XML view. Now to run this XML view, it's also important that a view has a controller, right guys? We saw in XML view that we are returning a controller name to the UI5 framework, which UI5 was using in creating an instance. Now my next question to all of you, let's see who will answer this question. It's a good interview question. Let me see if you can answer this question or not. So, can multiple views use same controller? Anybody? Can multiple views use same controller or not? Please answer this interview question. Majority of you are saying yes. Yes, you are right. That's the power of MVC architecture, guys. That's the power of MVC architecture. Your business functionality, your functionality which you have written can be reused by multiple views. This is the biggest benefit of MVC. That's why we are using MVC architecture, because we can reuse. If you remember, we have written anubhav.view.js, where we have written a method to actually display something. Let me go to controller, view.controller.js. Here we have written a method, show some power, kill me. These things we have written, right? So we can reuse these things. Absolutely right, guys. Your guess is right. This is why MVC architecture is popular. We can reuse. So I can reuse my controller here. Now I can say controller name equals to my controller namespace, complete namespace. What is the favorite cartoon character of Shri? What is the favorite cartoon character of Shri? It's Jerry. Perfect answer. Jerry dot controller dot namespace concept, guys. Once again, back into the action. Anubhav. That's the what I'm doing here in XML view now, as compared to JavaScript view. It's so easy now in XML view. Just mention what will be your controller name. Clear, everybody, how we are mentioning who is the controller, who is the friend who will have the processing logic for the view. Now more interview questions for you guys. This is possible. Second interview question. How many controllers a view can point? Anybody? How many controllers a view can point to? Anybody? How many controllers? Perfect answer. Only one. Only one, guys. Only one. You can't add here in this line multiple controllers separated from comma. That's not allowed. Similarly, in JavaScript views, the function always returns only one value. It's a function. It returns only and only one value. Only one controller can be used by XML views or by the views. Okay. Third question. Can multiple views, can multiple controllers be used by one view? Anybody, please answer. What do you think? Can multiple controllers be used by one view? No, because you can return only one controller instance out. Hence, you can only use one. So no, not possible. One view can only talk to one controller. That's a best practice. So then you will say, Anubhav, what is the best practice? Ideally, we have one controller per view. This is the best practice in industry. हर व्यू का खुद का एक कंट्रोलर होगा. Okay, this is the best practice in industry which we are using. Every view has its own controller. Let's move on now and complete this up. So create just a page object with the title with an XML view, and now it's time to display this XML view on the UI. So let's go back to index.html, which is creating an instance of JavaScript view earlier. I comment out this piece of code, and I'm now going to create var anubhav equals to new sap.ui.view. Name something, id my XML, whatever you wish to name, you can name that view. So my XML, whatever you wish to name, it's your choice. Give that name, comma, curly braces, view name, and I can mention here Jerry dot view dot. What is the name of my view? What is the name? It's my new view. My new view. It's case sensitive. Many people will go ahead and write here this view name. My M capital, N capital, view P capital. But when they are coding it here, they will put m small, view का n small and view का v small. क्या होगा? What will happen, anybody, if I do this mistake? You can watch out here. It's case sensitive. I put something here and I put something else here. System won't recognize. JavaScript is case sensitive. It won't work. These are all the common mistakes which we do initially when we begin. Okay, so it won't work. So let's come back. Put in here view name, and let's give an ID. ID we already given. Let's give the view type, and it's an XML view. And watch out, guys, I'm showing another interesting aspect concept of UI5. We can use a constant class in UI5. Constant. What is constant in a programming language like pi? I can create a pi as a constant. Its value is 3.14, right? Similarly, UI5 offers predefined constant for view name. It's part of SAP UI core MVC view type XML. It's a constant available for view type. View type XML के लिए this is a constant available. Just go and check it up. So go to SAP UI core MVC class. In that there will be a view type constant which has these four values. You can check in UI5 SDK always. Go to UI5 SDK and search for SAP UI core MVC. Yes, here you go, MVC. And you see there's a view also here. So a view type, can you see this view type? And you have four constant values for HTML view, JavaScript view, JSON view, something called template, and XML view. So you see these are all the view types you have: XML, JSON, and HTML. These are all the view types we can use as a constant. They are constants actually. And you see always it comes as enum. Enum means it's an interface which is having constants inside. Enum means it's a class which cannot be instantiated. It's a constant actually. Okay. So you can use, instead of that hard coded constant, enumerator. You're right. It's called enumerator. So instead of using this hard coded JS, you can actually use this constant. The benefit is tomorrow, let's say SAP changes this just JS to JSV. You don't have to change everywhere. You are referring to SAP's constant. SAP will change the constant value. It will automatically adapt. Your code will be more robust. Our idea in this course to do robust programming so that we always be safe and less affected with changes SAP is doing. Come save it. We are done created the view and placing this view object into the DOM, into the body of HTML now. Let's go ahead and execute this now. Execute it as usual. I'm going to run it in another tab. And voila! Congratulations, guys. You have got your first UI5 MVC application, which is built using XML View. Clear, everybody. And now it's time to repeat the functionality which we did in last class. We created two buttons. One is kill me and one is process and one input field. Let me create an input field with an ID. Some ID I'm going to keep. And then I'm going to create a button. Sorry, it's a button class B capital. And then I can say press action, and then I can give a text value for the button, and then I can say button press action, and I can give a text value again for this button. And I'm implementing this functionality in a way that I can reuse my controller code. Go to controller. If you remember, we have something called IDBTN, and we had something called an ID INP. These IDs I'm going to keep here in XML view. So let's put here ID INP input field, and now I'll just put this one as ID BTN, and I'll say give me, and now maybe I just say attach function, and now I'll just say action, sorry, ID BTN, and now let's write as action handler. So for kill me, this will be the action handler and show some power. So let's come here, show some power, and that will be kill me. Clear, everybody? So I am writing the functionality in a way that I can reuse my controller code. This is the fashion I'm writing my view functionality. You see, it's using the same controller which was created for JS view. That's the power of MVC, guys, reusability. Now remember, in which aggregation of page control these controls will be added. They will be added inside the content aggregation. Come back at the page object, and you will observe aggregation as content aggregation here. You see content aggregation, which is default. So by default, These three controls are going inside content aggregation. You can also do like this: content aggregation, and inside that your three controls. It's absolutely same. It behaves absolutely same whether you put content or don't put content. Why? Because content is the default aggregation. Content is the default aggregation. Whether you put or not put, any control which you put inside the page object will by default go to the content aggregation. Is that clear, everybody? How we creating our first page object now? Click on save. Let's come back and refresh the page. See here, it's not displaying anything. Guys, this is also another problem which happens when you create a page object, its content doesn't display in an app. So for that reason, we have to also add our page object always inside an app object. I will come to what is an app object later, but understand that there is something called an app object. Inside that app object, you must add your page object. Then only the content will display. So I'm adding now my page object inside app object, and you see its alignment got disturbed. So what we will do is we will control all, right click and beautify our code. This pretty printer option we will use, and now we save this. Okay, so what I did, I started with a view, I added a page object, I created an index html instance of the inside index html instance of my xml view. I displayed you the output. Then I've added my button and my input fields as per the previous example. The IDs and things I've kept it same. And you see guys, the beautiful thing, I don't have to pass the controller instance to this event handler separately like we were doing in JavaScript view. Not needed. By default, in the event handler, this pointer, will point to the current controller object. Okay, that's what it will happen. This pointer will point to current controller object always. Now, then later on we run this and we observed that our content was not displayed. Hence, I told you another best practice that you must add the page object inside an app object. The moment I do, voila, you can see now my content is getting displayed on the screen. Let me enter some value. This is my world, and I click kill me. It's not working. Obviously, you have to say attach function. It attached now the function at runtime to the event handler, and I'll say kill me. It's still not working. There is something wrong. Guys, what will you do? Who is your best friend when your output does not come? Anybody? Who is your best friend when your output does not come? Perfect answer. All of you are watching the videos carefully, correctly. It's the F12. Go to F12 and see what has gone wrong. Can you see cannot read property get value of undefined? See guys, attach press of undefined, get value of undefined. What happened here? Watch out guys, this is another interesting point. When you used an XML view, now when you try to get this object of input field, it did not work. When you try to get this object of button, it did not work. Let me show you that. So let's come and debug this code. You can always see here it failed here in this line. Click here, it directly takes you to the source code. And now you see it is blasting in these lines. Set up a breakpoint. Line number 10 I am setting up. Watch out again. I will debug this. I say attach function. When I attach function, you can see it is hitting our breakpoint now. Our debugger is hitting, and now watch inside. It is trying to get the object which I taught you in the last class, SAP UI get core by ID. Trying to get the button object. Let's evaluate this particular statement. The console on the right, and you see this produces undefined now. Yeah, in JavaScript code, in JavaScript view case, this code was working fine, but in XML views, now this piece of code is not working. Button ID is correct. Button ID is correct. Let me show you. It's IDBTNC. How come this code stopped working? So guys, let me tell you the most important funda fox of today's class. Whenever we use XML views, the control ID in the DOM is created by appending the view ID. That's why the get core by ID with control ID will not work. Hence, you should use get core dot by ID view ID hyphen hyphen control ID. So what is happening here? Whenever you're using XML views, system is appending the view ID before control ID. Check the DOM. Check the DOM. Let's execute this. And I check the DOM now. I go to console. Let's check the DOM. Right click on this element and say inspect this element. It directly takes you to the DOM. Watch out. Watch out the DOM, guys. You will find your button element. Where is it? Here it is. Here it is, your button element. So this kill me button element, you see. Can you see, guys? System has appended the view ID. View ID before the control ID. Do you all see that in the DOM? Are you all clear, guys? View ID is appended before control ID. Please answer in chat window. Your answers motivates me to proceed further and give you more information. Now, can you see this? In case of XML views, system has appended the view ID before control ID. अभी आपका control ID क्या बन गया? It is view ID hyphen control ID. That's why your get core by ID not working, because in get core by ID हम लोग क्या कोड किए हैं? Let's see. We are using only ID BTN. Do you think system can now find with ID BTN alone this control? Do you think system can now find this control with this old ID? Yeah, it should use the ID correctly now, right? So let's test this code now in console. Just making sap.ui.getCore.byId. Enter. And you see now it has got the object. Earlier when it was just using ID btn alone, it was not getting you the object. You see the difference. It's giving undefined. This one is giving object. Are you guys clear what happens when we use XML views? Are you all guys clear? Everybody? Yes or no? You're all clear? Correct? This is what happens. That's what is happening. Yes? Are you all clear, guys? Right? So this ID of XML view. Oh, you forgot. Where is this ID of XML view come from? We have given this ID of XML view while creating the view object. While creating the view object, we have given the ID of the view. Clear, everyone? From there it has come from. That's why code is not working. But guys, this is a dirty approach. SAP UI get core by ID is a dirty approach. You have to construct these IDs every time. Very dirty approach. So there is a better solution. So even we don't use this approach, though you can use it to show you. You may ask me, Anubhav, why you're not using get core, which you taught us earlier. This is why I taught you this approach. It's a dirty approach because you have to construct this long ID. Yeah, long ID you have to construct. Imagine there is a view inside, 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 inside view, inside view, inside view, and then a control. कितना बड़ा ID बनाओगे सर? कितना बड़ा ID बनाओगे? Are you getting it? If it's keep pending the view ID like that, imagine if your UI is complicated, it will become so complicated to make this ID for you. So that's why we use a better approach. We use the view object to get its children control. How we get the view object? We use this, which is controller object dot get view. कंट्रोलर को हम बोलेंगे प्लीज भैया तुम्हारा व्यू दे दो हमको. This dot get view will give you the view object, guys, and then we use the view object to get the control object just bypassing actual control ID. Okay, we are not using get core with XML views. Don't use get core with XML views. It will get complicated for you. Always use view object and then just use the control ID with view object. Okay. In case of multiple views, you will do what? In case of multiple view inside view, what will you do? It's very easy. You will first get the outer view object. From outer view object, you get the inner view object. From inner view object, you get another inner view object. So you traverse through the children's and children's and children's. You don't have to construct the ID. You can traverse through the children's. Okay, that's what we will be doing. It will not be an issue. We will see some examples going forward. Right now, it will be a heavy dose of antibiotic if I tell you. Okay, so just understand this concept. What will happen now? Well, now we're gonna get object of the view, and from the view object we're gonna get the control object. So let's do that. So I can come back here to my controller. Instead of using get core, we're gonna use view object. So let's obtain the view object. I can say var o view equals to this dot get view. This, what is this representing here? Anybody who will tell me what is this representing here? कौन बताएगा मुझे? कौन बताएगा? Who will tell me what is this representing? It's an object. Object of what? Object of what? Object of controller, current controller. Perfect answer, guys. You all have understood this concept. उस controller का view कौन है? This dot get view. इसका view ये है. ये अपना view दे देगा मुझे. Okay, it will give me the view. Okay, this dot get view will give me the view. Now I got the view object and I can say var o kill me equals to this dot by id. And remember JavaScript naming convention, id का I capital, and यहाँ पे आप now id you can put id btn easily. You are back in action. You don't have to construct now a long id. Don't have to do that. Easy for you. Similarly, here you see the input field also facing the same challenge because SAP UI get core now it's trying to look forward for input field. It's not there because it's appended with. You can also use ID my view, yeah, whatever like this you can do, but not a recommended approach. That's why we use something else. We use this dot get view. So oview dot by ID. Let's create oview dot oview equals to this dot get view. And guys, the beauty of XML view by default, this pointer will point to controller object in XML views. When you're using controller with XML views, by default, this pointer will point to controller object. Okay, controller object को point करता है. हमें explicitly pass नहीं करना. That was happening in JavaScript view. Now I save it. Let's come back and test our app now. Let's come back. We have identified the issue. We debugged it. We killed the issue. We killed the bug. I refresh now and now say here we are and then say kill me. Here we are. There you go. You can see, guys, it's triggering my event handler. Here we are giving me a pop-up as I expected. This is the power of XML views. Clear, everybody, what is happening here? Are you all clear? What did we do exactly to solve our issue? It is working now up for kill me action. Clear? Because I have added that action here as kill me. I can remove this action dynamically if you want to do. Save it. Let's come back, refresh. So now it won't work. So I can say wow. You see kill me won't work because dynamically it should be attached now. I can say attach function. And now it got attached and you say kill me not working, press F12. फिर से देखो क्या problem हुआ है. Something would have gone wrong. Console is your best friend. Get view is not a function. You see, this dot get view is not a function. Where it blasted? It blasted in the kill me method. Okay, because you attached kill me dynamically using JavaScript. You are attaching it. See here, guys. जब भी JavaScript आ जाएगा, this pointer will not hold the object of controller. So now you see, you attach the press event with kill me button with JavaScript code, not with XML code. Only this first button, show me power, was attached with the XML view. See, show me power is attached with XML view. The kill me button was not attached with XML view. It was attached by JavaScript view. See here. So you have to also pass the object of current controller to it manually, guys. ये करना पड़ेगा. जहाँ भी JavaScript code is attaching an event handler, you have to pass controller object manually to point this pointer as a controller object. Okay. Now let's try. Let's say @ attach. Let's see. Yes. And now watch out, guys. Click on kill me. Voila, you can see it's printing @ of. You understood that concept. Whenever there is a JavaScript way of attaching event, it won't pass the object, this pointer, as a controller instance. You have to separately pass it always in case of JavaScript attaching. Whenever you're attaching event handler using JavaScript code, whether it is in the view or in the controller, you should pass this pointer separately to the event handler method to point, to tell the system, hey, this pointer is representing the controller object. So we have passed it separately, explicitly, to tell that this pointer in this event handler kill me, this pointer should point to the controller instance. So in my current show me power method, this pointer is pointing to controller. वही मैंने इसको पास कर दिया. Is this concept clear to everybody? How to pass the instance of this pointer, the controller object, to the event handler using JavaScript code. Whether it is in the view, this JavaScript code, or whether this code is in the controller, within the controller. So many concepts we have covered in today's class. Any questions before we close today's class? Anybody? So again, I repeat, those who have joined today new, for you little bit challenge, I can understand. You are new, you don't have a clue what's going on. Please watch the missed classes by video and join me live regularly to attend these sessions. Yes, please. Time for your questions. Your lines are open. You can unmute your line and ask your question one by one. Anybody? Any questions?
Hi, Anwar.
Hi.
Yeah, Mad here.
Yeah.
The thing is, my MVC app is there, right? One first day you wrote some code. On the day I did not practice. On second day, you wrote the second day session also in the same code. So while comparing, I'm not able to compare because it is already overwritten by the second day code.
Okay. You mean to say in our training blog?
Yes, yes.
1 second. I'll just go to our training blog. There's a trick, guys, in our training blog you can use. You can go to the versions of the code. See here, there is something called version 8. Yeah. So it's storing the versions
Okay,
of our code. You can go to V3 and you see version 1, version 2, and version 3. 14th,
okay.
15th, and 16th. You can download the correct version and then it will download the
Mhm.
right code for you.
Okay, okay.
Okay.
I
If you
did
are
not
not
know.
seeing,
Yeah.
if you want not seeing this version option, just do write me an email with a
Mhm.
screenshot. I will look into this issue and fix it for you.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay. Yeah. Thank you.
Cool. Anybody else? Any questions? Okay, just for an information, many of you have come to me asking, Anubhav, we want to activate a standard Fury app, my inbox Fury app in my company. My manager is sitting on my head and dancing and is saying, please activate my inbox Fury app, which comes for free from SAP in our system. And I have no clue, Anubhav, can you at least create a simple video to show how can we activate standard Fury apps in our company? You can do this, follow this procedure to do for any standard Fury app. Watch my YouTube video which I uploaded yesterday on my inbox Fury app I've created. If you go to YouTube, search for my inbox Fury app. Just search for that. You see my video on the top. Okay, just go there and you'll see here I have explained how to enable my inbox Fury app, step by step description how to enable my inbox Fury app, complete guide end to end from scratch till the end, enabling it the standard Fury application. This is part of my Fury launchpad and security training actually. That's what it is part of. So you can actually watch this particular actually video to be able to. In this I have also taught multiple concepts. I taught workflow customizing concept. I taught what is workflow. I taught about my inbox app task list. I talk about getting the workflow instance, creating the OData service, giving authorization for standard OData service, registration of a standard OData service, creating a tile into the launchpad for my inbox app, security configuration, catalogs, groups, and then enabling the desired functionality for my inbox app, granting the role to the user, body implementation for my inbox Fury app. Nobody is covering these concepts today in their trainings. This is part of my launchpad training, however, but just an introductory video for all of you. I have posted it here on the YouTube. Those who are interested, you can watch it because this was one request from many of you since many days it was open. Guys, Anubhav become trainer by the choice. Anubhav did not become trainer by accident. If you see in industry, majority of the corporate trainers, it is very unfortunate when I see a corporate trainer come in my company and teach colleagues. It's very unfortunate that they open a PDF of 500 pages and start going through it, which is very unfortunate. जिसको करने के लिए कुछ नहीं मिलता वो लास्ट में जाके ट्रेनर बन जाता है क्योंकि लोगों को लगता है पढ़ाना बहुत आसान है. No guys, teaching somebody else, it's actually you are taking the responsibility of their career. It's like that. It's a very big responsibility. Teaching is not a joke. Teaching is not a joke. Okay. I became trainer not by accident. It was not like I didn't have anything else to do. So I became a trainer. I became trainer because it's my passion. I put my full passion, full energy while teaching. Might have observed in my session the way I speak. I get so much of energy while teaching. So can I get workflow video? Workflow is a completely different course altogether. Please check out my website onlinefurytrainings.com. You're gonna get the list of all the topics here which you would be interested into. जब जहां भी तुमको weakness लग रहा है, this is the time guys to remove our weakness and proceed further in life to the next level. अगर अबैप नहीं आती है तो अबैप सीखो. अगर अबैप नहीं आती तो अबैप सीखो. डोंट फील डिस्करेज्ड. यू हैव टू मेक योर फाउंडेशन स्ट्रांग. अगर वर्कफ्लो सीखना है, join my workflow course, currently only available in video mode. This is the workflow course, complete workflow training. So it's up to you to decide what you want to learn. I have listed down and opened up doors for everything with the same style of teaching. No copy paste of code. No copy paste. Say no to copy paste, guys. Say no to the trainers who do copy paste. I have many times told you guys how people are cheating in training. It's very unfortunate to see how people are cheating in training. A lot of examples I have posted already. You can also go to my website learning series and there is a video link. Please share this with your friends so that they will realize they don't waste their money. Many times a student comes to me and say, Anubhav, I wasted my money behind some cheating institutes, behind some Hyderabadi institutes, behind some cheating institutes. They have wasted their money, which is very unfortunate. I can't bring that back, but at least you can be aware for future. Be careful with these frauds. Be careful with these frauds. Be very careful with these fraud institutes. They will just eat up. Okay? Be careful. Be careful, guys. Be aware of these institutes. They are biggest liars and cheaters. I will give you this link. Share it with your friends. Have a safe flight ahead. Have a safe learning ahead. And this is what these trainers are doing actually. These trainers are just spoiling my country name. Many Firangi student comes to me, many Germans, many US student comes to me and they say, hey Anubhav, we don't trust Indian people. because Indian people in training, they are cheating. We don't trust them. They don't trust us. This is all because of these type of institutes. Because these type of institutes, over a period of time, they have spoiled my country name. I've taught many German colleagues. I get students across multiple countries. I get from UAE, Dubai, from US, from UK, from Japan. I've got students from China, Romania, Russia, Brazil, Ukraine. I got it from Netherlands, Pakistan, Bangladesh, Sri Lanka. Got students from almost many countries. And the general feeling, they are always afraid in the beginning because they have seen these kind of training institutes from India who have spoiled my country's name, guys. Stop buying training from Hyderabad institutes. Stop buying. If you want to be with me in this mission, stop buying any training from Hyderabad trainers. Stop buying it. They are biggest liars and cheaters. Be careful, stay safe. I just want to save your money. That's it. अगर सीखना है सीखना जरूर है सीखना जरूर है पढ़ाई जरूर करना है Do it yourself. The self learning is the best way. अगर नहीं मिल रहा है try to find a good trainer who doesn't teach you. The golden rule I am repeating. जो ट्रेनिंग इंस्टीट्यूट कॉपी पेस्ट नहीं कर रहा है वो अच्छा पढ़ा रहा है It could be any training institute who is not doing copy paste. Take demo, ask them questions, as many as you can, see their behaviors. Are they talking always in terms of money? Just check that. With that, you will get a feel. Are they following you continuously, calling you, mailing you? Le lo sir, course le lo, course le lo, course le lo. Somebody who's following you, trying to sell you something. Remember, something is wrong. Remember, something is wrong. If somebody is calling you continuously, mailing you continuously, trying to sell you something, be careful. Be careful. Be careful. They are probably trapping you. Okay. If you observe my pattern, somebody send me an inquiry, I never call back that person. Never. This is my strategy. I never do that. I never mail back that person. Somebody send me an inquiry, I send a reply to that inquiry. I never mail back any single student ever. I don't do it. बिकॉज उसका मर्जी है जहां से लेना है उसको अगर वो स्मार्ट है अगर वो समझदार है अगर उसने मेरा यूट्यूब वीडियो देखा है तो ही विल नो हु इज राइट हु इज रॉन्ग आई डोंट हैव टू फॉलो विद देम I don't have to follow and I never do it. You can realize, but remember this golden rule. If somebody, it applies everywhere in life, not just in training, everywhere. If somebody is trying to sell you something continuously, sir khareed lo, sir le lo, they are trapping you. They are trapping you guys. Be careful from those people. With that, it's a wrap on today's class. Thank you so much for watching this. See you tomorrow at the same time. Have a nice day and good